Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with French-Canadian Jazz Trumpeter, composer, and bandleader Rachel Therrien. Her latest CD is 2020's Vena, and she is now working on new projects that will be out in the near future. Her European quartet, Vena, was born after many European tours where she had to hire local musicians to accompany her shows. She is an accomplished musician that was the winner of the 2015 TD Grand Prize Jazz Award at the renowned Montreal International Jazz Festival and the 2016 Stingray Jazz Rising Star Award. She is always on the rise, and she's got a great story that you should hear.
Okay, Rachel, hey, thank you for taking a minute out.
Thank you.
So are you located in Montreal?
I'm, since 2015, I've been like half and half between Montreal and New York.
Wonderful. In this post-COVID world, or this coming out of pandemic world that we're in, how's everything going where you're at?
I'm thankful, very grateful to be almost busier than before COVID. Yeah, great. It's awesome. Since September, I've had a bunch of tours and working on a lot of stuff that started during COVID, and it's doing great. I'm happy to be able to play in front of people. I think people are very grateful to be back to live music too. So,
do you have a new album on the horizon? I know I was going to talk to you about your latest 2020 album. Do you have anything new coming out anytime soon?
Yeah, it's actually going to be a side project. So this album that was released in 2020, still alive. We're still going to be touring it for the next 2 years because we haven't really had that much of the opportunity to play it in front of people. But I am working on a Latin jazz project, a Latin jazz album that we're going to be recording over the winter to be released in the next fall probably. So I'll be touring with those two different, very distinct projects.
You know, this has been a pretty serious time for all of us of self-reflection and, you know, having time with ourselves and figuring things out. What did you figure out about yourself? Maybe you didn't realize before that's going to make you stronger now as we all reemerge to live music.
I feel it's like a second time I reaffirmed that this is what I was going to do. The first time happened in my early 20s where I had a lot of questions if I would do this with my life, and COVID made me have those questions again, and I feel I'm even stronger than before in my decision of doing what I love, right? My passion, and doing my records and touring. And I think during COVID though, I started doing music producing for other artists, and I realized that I really, really enjoy being in the creation process and being in studio. And so this is something new that I wasn't like focusing on before COVID that will influence my career from now on, I think.
So let's go back to your beginnings. How did music begin for you? What was your childhood like?
I started playing music at high school. I wasn't from a musical background, so regular music class in high school. I had to pick an instrument, and the two only instruments left when I started the class were trumpet and trombone. So I picked the trumpet because at least there was pistons. I hadn't really understood like how it worked, but I fell in love right away. And I think first, like in my personality, I do have a temperament that loves challenges, and the teacher I had in high school knew how to give me challenges. So I think I fell in love with the challenges of music before seeing it as a career possibility. But then I did some drum and bugle corps when I was maybe around 14, and that's when I met for the first time people that were actually living out of playing music, and that's when I saw that it could be a possibility for a career. And since then, my focus never changed.
Who were early jazz inspirations for you? Who were you listening to that really made you kind of swayed the way that you approached the music?
Well, it goes so many ways. Like for example, the first album an uncle gave me when he heard I was playing trumpet was a Chuck Mangione vinyl. So one of the first trumpet players I listened to was Chuck Mangione. But then I don't know. I think I listened to all the trumpet players possible. I really someone that really influenced me was Hugh Masekela. I started improvising in West African communities and Moroccan communities that were based in Montreal that had a lot of unwritten music that they would hire me to play with, and that's with them that I started. Yeah, just the concept of improvisation came more from that style of music than from jazz at first for me. So, yeah, I would say a mix of Hook Masekela and Chuck Mangione, and then it went to Ornette Coleman and Steve Coleman and Clifford Brown and Freddie Hubbard and name them all. Yeah, I guess the beauty of improvisation is that the more you listen to different styles of music, it's just more vocabulary for you to use in your own conversations, I guess.
So what was the first live jazz show you ever saw that you remember that was amazing?
Well, I saw some live jazz shows that were amazing, but really the one that changed my perception of what I wanted to do was the first time I went to IAGE in New York City, probably in like 2006 or something, around that time. I went to see Sean Jones was playing a concert at the IAGE, and he had, in the same tune, he had 2 standing ovations of the way he just like moved emotionally everyone in the room. And that's when I understood like what's the power of music, right? When you actually connect with an audience, and it's not about notes and chords anymore. It's all about that connection and that message that you can transcend. So I think it's probably my most memorable jazz concert for that moment that I had the opportunity to live and notice, right?
You've been able to learn from some pretty heavy people like Dave Douglas, Clarence Penn, Jonathan Finlinson, John McNeil. So my question to you is, you've been around a lot of heavy people on stage and performed with a lot of people. What have you learned from the masters and those people, the veterans, that you in turn teach younger players that you're around?
So many things. So many things. But I think like what I got the most of like all those like lessons I took is be true to yourself. Because there's so many things one can do. There's so many styles one can play. There's not enough of a lifetime to do all the trumpet exercises that are possible to nail, you know what I mean? So it's like, learn to be true to yourself and what do you love doing, and explore to the most capacity of that thing that makes you, I guess, yeah.
You get to wake up every day being a musician. You've been doing this for a while. What do you like the best about this process of being a musician?
Not knowing. I think the insecurity, at first it's scary, but you kind of get used to like not knowing what's going to happen in the next 6 months. And you're always surprised by new experience and new encounters and new travel and a new country that you never really thought of you being there. And like, I don't know, it's just all the surprises that comes with this lifestyle. It's a never-ending story of new discoveries, new people, and new cultures, and yeah.
You know, and speaking of the unknown, you know, as we all kind of return more in earnest to live music, what do you hope we all realize about the power of live music, both the musician and the audience?
I don't know. For me, it's all the energy, because music is great. It's great to listen to music. It's great to play music, but there is nothing like exchanging the energy of a moment with musician in person and with the audience too. You realize how much every human being's energy influences the mood, the music, the feeling. It's very, very strong, and it's hard to describe. It's there, and for not having it for that amount of months, like for missing it for that long amount of time, you actually realize when you get back to it how strong it is.
So if you could get into a time machine, you can go back in time and you can see any jazz performer at any time, who are you going to go see?
Oh, wow. Only one?
No, you can pick a couple.
Well, I would love to not just see, but be more around Clark Terry. I would love to see Lee Morgan. I would love to meet Woody Shaw and Hugh Masekela for sure. I feel I would have seen, I don't know, so many. Dizzy Gillespie. I would, wow, so influenced by them, all of them. It's funny because sometimes I'm like, maybe I wish I was born in that time, and then I was like, well, there wasn't really that much space for a woman in that time, so maybe it's better to be now.
Everyone has a perception of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately, you live your life. You have a perception of yourself. Who do you think you are?
I don't know. I would say I'm a French-Canadian from a small town that is very simple and that has big dreams.
Simple to the point. Rachel, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz. Good luck with the upcoming project and the return to the stage. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Canada, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Rachel for her time and artistry. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.